We open on a dark cave, and actually to call this a cave would be a tremendous injustice. This is a cavern. It's a hall, really. Maybe a throne room, if we wanted to be completely honest. It's been carved out of the inside of what must be a large mountain, and it's the smell of, like, not quite sulfur, but the smell of like some forms of burning material, like a foundry of some kind, maybe smelters, and you can actually hear the sound of metal on metal and hammers, and maybe even the sound of the occasional voice grunting that it's time to continue work. But that's in the distance. It's echoing along these cavernous walls. As we move closer, we're following the figure of a small gnome. Well, gnomes are pretty small in their own right, but this one is particularly shorter than most. And he's moving along a brass and iron and wood-wheeled carriage. And within this carriage is centered a sphere, a glowing blue sphere, with crackling energies that are moving along the surface. We're not quite close enough to the carriage and the sphere to actually see what's inside the sphere, but we've seen something like this. We've seen it in the big train that has traversed the lands. We saw the gnomes that were there watching over it and using it for some kind of navigation. And this one seems similar. Maybe not the same, but similar. We look over the gnome's shoulder, an easy feat for us as we continue into this cavern, and we see that it's like we anticipated, a throne room. And all flat. There's a couple of places for people to sit, and an altar over to the left-hand side that overlooks what seems to be some kind of glowing fire that we can't quite tell the source of. It's a little too far off camera. And we approach this monolithic rise, a dais with a throne upon it. That's been, again, that carved and refined shaping of the stone. And seated upon it is what can only be described as an ancient orc. He sits in a kind of a slouched fashion, hands kind of draped over the arms of the throne, large fingers just kind of, they look like if they gripped down on the stone, they could probably crumble it beneath their mighty grip. And he looks up, and his eyes are black, completely black. And the gnome approaches the throne with deference and pauses the creaking and the whining of the cart and steps around it and bows low and says, "Lord Urktha, we've got a bit of news." And he's actually like rocking up and down on his feet. He's on the balls of his feet. He's really actually barely containing his excitement. And Urktha looks down upon him. "Go ahead, show me." And the gnome responds excitedly. He's kind of like clapping his hands, and it like goes over to the sphere, and he starts to like move his hands along it, and it starts to react to his touch. And then as soon as it finishes whatever reactions he's expecting, he goes down to the side of the cart and starts pulling levers and maneuvering things, and we start to see the belching like black and red fires and smokes and stuff that we saw in the train, but now it's just miniature size. But it's those infernal magics that start to cause the sphere to spin ever more rapidly. And as an image starts to float upwards, we see a different place. We see another, what looks to be some form of a cavern. And we see three shapes. We see two dwarves and a woman. We've seen this image before. We saw it in our preview the last time, but this time, as we watch, we see them clamber onto the side of this green well. This greenish light is flowing up from it, and as they look to each other, they come to a silent conclusion and they leap inside. And then we hear echoing through the sphere the scream of a woman. And just as the scream dies, the gnome turns back and sees the Lord has actually leaned forward on his throne, and he looks to the gnome and he says, "Tell me truthfully, am I seeing the death of our queen. And the gnome smiles and he says, yes, my lord, I think it is time. I think it is time. And the orc leans back in his throne and he looks to himself, and he's deep in thought, and any kind of vision of surprise that we saw on his face is gone as he recedes into deep contemplation. And he looks to the gnome and he says, summon the axe blades.
She was a middle-class girl. She was in over her head. She thought she could stand up in the deep end. He had a bulletproof smile. He had money to burn. She thought she had the moon in her pocket, but now she's dead. She's so dead, forever dead, and love me now.
And the scene fades away, and we move back and out of the cavern, and then it fades to darkness as we start to overlook the peaks of this enormous mountain range, and it fades away and echoes, and we feel like in the sense of ourselves as we're moving away from this and we go into black, we sense that this is a shift in time as well, maybe moving forward a little bit, up until the point where we arrive in Southold. And we recognize this place. We arrived here last time, and we've seen visions of this city before. And we arrive at the front of Legate Haveriset's offices and ostensibly his home. And we traverse inside. We're going down the street, and we traverse towards the door. And we see a thin man come out of the front door. He's garbed in servant's robes, and he looks back and forth, looks up to the sky for a brief moment, and then he curls something inside his hand, like a piece of paper or something, and he puts it inside his robes, and then he pulls his hood up, and then he turns right and leaves the area. And we don't follow him for now because one of our players, one of our actors in this great play is inside. And we go inside the ground floor of this office building or this office area. We'll call it a building, I guess. It's 2-3 stories tall. We go inside, and it's empty. We have the scriveners' tables that are there, and they lay empty. But we hear shuffling upstairs, and that's where we go. We go upstairs, and then we see standing before us the elvish form of Valdyn as he's coming to a decision of what he wants to do. Because further down the hallway of the second floor, we hear the familiar voice of Haveriset arguing over something with his other servant that's in the room with him. And so the credits start to roll. And as we have a close-up and kind of like close-up and like a little bit over to the left, and we see the credits start to roll. Invictus Community Stream presents Dungeon World Episode 4. And then next to the credits, we see Valdyn, played by Erik Johnson. So Valdyn, you've placed yourself here in the idea that you want to keep an eye on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of your primary motives. But what else? What's happening now? What are you looking to do? Are you waiting, or are you wanting to go in? What's the thought?
Waiting for him to come out.
Okay.
Let him get clean. I imagine he's not like the rest of the party where he doesn't mind, or we don't mind being dirty.
It's true. Even the bard, for some reason, I don't get it. So yeah, you hear him arguing back and forth with his servant, saying, "No, just a simple bath. That's all I want drawn." And so he, you hear water being like pailed and sloshed into a tub. Probably that's kind of the sound you're hearing. And he says, "Let's just go outside." "No, master, I should stay here. I will stay here and watch the door for you so that you can maintain your modesty, my lord." And he's like, "Whatever, it's fine. Just stand there. Turn around. Don't look at me." He goes and he whatever, you hear like shuffling on the inside and everything. So what do you do while are you just kind of standing there hanging out waiting, or is there anything that you want to do while you're up here?
Just gonna wait. Eat my apple.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Just nonchalantly, just munch it down.
Well,
I'm gonna keep listening.
Well, on the other side of the door, you hear, what is that? What are you doing? We don't have any need for that. No. You stay there. How much do I pay you? You can afford such things. Put that away. No. And you start to hear shuffling, like a struggle.
Yeah, I'm gonna rush in there.
All right, so you rush in towards the room, and you probably throw your shoulder, or you kick the door, or what do you do?
I will kick in the door.
All right, yeah, you kick
Munchkin
in the door.
Style.
Yeah, you thrust your foot out and just an expert plant on the doorknob area, and you break the latch, and it kicks the door inwards. And you see the other servant has pulled a dirk, and is right now clambering over the naked form of Haveriset, trying to stab him.
Crap, I actually don't have my bow on me. I would have set that down while waiting. But I do have my sword.
Sure.
So
yeah, the servant is trying to like come in and like give him a good stab, and he's actually kind of slipping over him because I guess he must have gotten into the tub, and you can see water is sloshed over everywhere, and he's trying to like get a hold of him, and I don't think he's quite. No, you kicked in the door pretty loud, so yeah, he turns around and he looks at you and he says, actually, he just turns around and looks at you, and he has the blade like up and ready to go, but his focus is more on Haveriset right now. So I don't know. What do you want to do?
Very quickly, because I think this would be a hilarious idea. I will run and throw the apple at his face as a distraction, and then pull out the orc sword and stab him if I can.
I like it. All right. Yeah. Go ahead and roll hack and slash. I got to get back into the rules of Dungeon Roll. It's been too long since I played. Yeah, give me a hack and slash, and go ahead and take a +1. That's a pretty good idea.
All right, hack and slash will be strength.
Yeah.
Should have upgraded that. All right, let's see what happens.
Let's do it. Come on, magic's gonna happen, and then whatever this is, you just add a +1. Oof. Okay. Yeah, the +1 is
still frozen. I can't see what it is, but I don't like the sound of it.
Yeah, you rolled a 5. Yeah, so you throw the apple, and I think what happens is the scrivener or the servant is pretty deft. He dodges out of the way, and the apple actually hits Haveriset in the back of the head, and it doesn't do any damage or anything. And I think what happens is he actually tucks into a roll and comes up to land a kick on you, to send you reeling backwards. So I think go ahead and take a no, don't take any damage, because right now he's just trying to set you up to attack you. So I think he's coming at you to try and set you off balance and then stab at you. So if you want to defy danger using your dexterity, or if you want to try and overpower him, whatever you think. He's shorter than you, he's thinner than you, but he's proven immediately that he's got some form of efficacy when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, I'm gonna defy dexterously.
All right, cool.
Please don't fail. I'm Rob Burgundy. Yes.
Woo, boy, oh my gosh, yeah, wow. He basically he tucks under and rolls. He kicks you right in the midsection to kind of knock you back, and as he's coming up, he's coming at you with that dirk. So what do you do to like block it? Do you use a sword? Do you just get out of the way? What do you do?
Dexterously. So I would probably just wax on, wax off that shit.
Nice. Do you even use your offhand? You don't even use your blade hand, or what do you do?
No, I'll use my offhand.
Nice. Yeah. So he's coming in. You use your offhand and just kind of like sweep it out of the way. What do you want to do now? Do you want to try and hack and slash? Anything else you want to try and do? And I'm going to ask these questions of each of the players just for the folks at home know, because they've all advanced to the 3rd level, so they've got new abilities that might come to bear. You never know. So maybe not immediately, but you never know.
Actually, do I recognize the servant?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. I guess what you could do is you could discern realities on this. It's probably going to earn you another reason to have to defy danger again, but if you're wanting to try and recognize him first and foremost, yeah, go for it.
Wisdom.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, roll plus whiz.
I will do that as soon as there we go. And yes.
Ooh, my goodness! Wow, the power. You rolled a 5 and a 6, my friend. Plus 2 is a 13. So yeah, that's pretty good. So you so here you go. Actually, what's kind of cool is that you're going to be able to take a +1 forward on acting on these answers. So go ahead and pick one of the 3 questions there. You go to the journal area, go to the handouts and pull out the basic moves, and then you can find discern realities in there and ask me 3 of those questions.
What here is useful or valuable to me in case I do need to fight back? I feel like the one that would most likely tell me who he may be would be what here is not what it appears to be. So what does he appear to be, I suppose?
Is that's the first question you want to ask, is what here is not what it appears to be?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he's definitely not a Scrivener, but actually, you know what? On the palms of his, or I'm sorry, on his forearms, as his robes kind of come back, you see that he's got an undershirt that's there as well. And as it kind of like comes back when he tries to stab you and you parry it aside, you notice that there is there's a twig that's on there. That it's a tattoo of a twig with leaves that's on there. And you recognize that as this guy is potentially part of an assassin's guild that you've heard of. Can't quite remember the name right now, but yeah, you're pretty sure that he's part of that.
I'll remember the name in a sec.
Yeah, you're gonna give me a name. That's what's gonna happen. Dungeon World, baby. Dungeon World, swish. So you got 2 other questions you can ask. So if you want to throw those in there, great. If you want to ask them afterwards, that's fine. No, you got a magnificent roll. You've earned it.
Here's valuable to me. What here is valuable to me?
All right. You look on his belt, and you look at his blade as you're kind of like squaring off with one another. I think because your roll is so successful that you actually have time to really study him, as he's like kind of circling you, and he's trying to pay attention to Havariset to make sure he doesn't escape. And as he's looking at you, you notice on his blade that there's like a liquid, like a thin viscous liquid that's kind of clinging to the blade edge. And then at his belt, you notice that he's got a like a hard case leather fold over pouch that it's usually used for vials of whatever. And so most likely that might be the antidote to whatever poison is on his blade.
Okay. Recognizing that, I will shout to him, since I finally found my text, Shalea Sard, which is Walker of Fate.
Walker of Fate. All right. So what does that mean to him? What is it?
Well, if it's one of my little a-holes, he should recognize what we call the guild. And not very many people should know the name of it. Oh, hopefully not a lot of people.
All right. So he looks at you, and he eyeballs you for a moment. He says, "What business is this of yours? They've already sent me to do this."
And I kind of open up my shirt.
I take off my armor.
I kind of pulled down my shirt. Actually, I took off my armor and my weapons because I was going to be civil with Havera.
Oh, that's right. So you're just kind of working your tunic, yeah.
And I show him my brand, the original brand of the guild that's on my chest.
It's fine. I am no longer a novice. Why are you here? I have earned this. I've earned this kill. And like you see Havera like gets up to try and like slip out of the way, and he actually turns and gives him a quick kick to put him back into the room further. And then he turns back to face you. He's still suspicious right now.
I'm actually not even paying him any mind. Like, my entire focus is on this guy, and I say, "Who sent you on this mission?"
You know we're not supposed to reveal our sources of income. That is part of our respect.
No, not the contract holder. Who is the master that sent you?
He like looks at you like he's actually turning it back on you to test you.
It's not Sam, then. What the fuck was the other guy's name? The old ass dude that I hired. What was it? It was not Taos. It was Thayer or something like that, I believe. Something.
Thayer?
I'm gonna change his name to Thayer since I can't seem to find my note on what his original name was.
How about that? Is that a good spelling? Theyeyer? Or if you want to come up with something else, that's fine. Yes, Thayer is the one who sent me. Why?
Because this man has information that is very prevalent to me, and I can't have you killing him. At least not right now.
This will have to be taken before the council, you know. Yes?
I don't think you understand. And I'm gonna Palpatine this shit and be like, I am the council.
So like how long has it been since you've interacted with these guys? Has it been just a few days since you left the city, or has it been a little while longer as you've been getting closer to these to your other party members?
Apparently too long.
Yeah.
Should be about, I'm gonna say about three months.
Okay. All right. So he looks at you. He puts the dirk away, and he looks to you, and And he looks back at Haverisat, who's like trying to like clumsily get himself up off the floor. So if I go back empty-handed, I will face reprisal. You know this. It is not just our organization that will have to answer to, but my employer as well.
God, I hate how all the contract work has to do, and why this man of all people. Go back to the headquarters. I will be there in a sec. We will discuss the matter of this contract later.
So you have one more question that you can ask in that discern realities. So is there something else that you want to ask before he takes off?
I was going to ask who's really in control here, but I already know. Yeah, actually, I think I will take advantage of my one more question, though.
Okay.
What should I be on the lookout for? Does it look like any other possible traps? Does it look like, do I see anything that may also end up killing Haverisat around? Possible accomplice that I'm not seeing?
Probably the other servant.
Okay. What's he doing?
I don't know. You're upstairs.
Oh, okay. All right.
Only the audience knows.
Then, yeah, I think I'm done. I dismiss him. Tell him to return to our base of operations, and I will see him there. Very, very sternly. I'm trying to really enforce that I should have a lot more power than what I believe, unless something major has changed in this time that I've been gone.
He nods and he says, I know you. I have been gone for a while, being trained by others. But I was recruited when I came into town 2 months ago. I am earning my way in to become one of the other instructors. So if there is something that you wish from me, then yes, by all means talk with Thayer. But I am on a schedule. If I do not report by the end of this week, and you know it's probably about 2 days he's got, then my life is forfeit for the contract. You understand, of course. And he bows and he looks over to the cowering and because Haverisat has now gained his feet, but now he's crouching behind the clawfoot tub. You know, he's kind of covering his nakedness, but also his shivering and stuff. And he says, "Good day to you, Legate. Count the ones that remain." And he turns and he departs.
I tell him not to mention very vaguely that he did not to mention that he did not complete, nor did he not complete his mission.
He looks back over his shoulder and he says, "You know that when we are hired, we have a schedule, and we have within that time to complete what we've been hired for. It is a matter of respect and honor that we accomplish what has been assigned to us and what has been paid for. I have time. This will not go beyond me or my partner." And so he leaves.
All right. Then I'll look at Haverisat and pick up my apple.
What sort of madness is going on here that I've had them in my employ for over a month? I don't understand. How is it that things are getting worse? Things are spiraling out of control. And he kind of like doesn't think about the fact that he's naked as he stands up, and he's kind of like resting like his hands on the clawfoot table or the tub, and we need to get back to with your friends. I owe you a debt, and I will pay them. But it looks like I may be running out of time. And there's something different about him, like in the wake of this. Something has changed, like he's put on a different coat. So just something to think about. So as we kind of diagonal wipe and we head back over to the bearded wench, and the credits start to kind of roll again as we start, like looking at all the names of the producers and the scores of people that handle special effects and everything, and then and music. But then we arrive at. I think you all were still at the bar, or were you getting close to like going to a table? I think where Cytherea and Trellion are still kind of standing there. And we're looking over the shoulders of two young pages or novices. What's kind of like the are they
like initiates?
Yeah, initiates. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so these two initiates are here, and we recall as an audience that at the beginning of, or at the onset of arriving at the town, there was a raven that was dispatched upon recognizing Cytherea's arrival. So, yeah, so we're here now. Trellion is staring into the mirror right now, and seeing the wispy woman, now given the name Angelas, as she rests her head upon your shoulder, having asked you for a favor, and made a request of an adventure, or at least exploration of something. So how do we find them? Who wants to lead off?
Go ahead, Trellion.
Cytherea, did you see her?
See who?
Oh, my love, Angelas. She spoke to me. Finally, I have a name for the face. She's asking me to go north, and this time I am going. Will you be coming? Would you like to come? I invite you.
Honorable lady.
Honorable.
Go ahead, say it.
Honorable lady.
I'll follow you anywhere you need to go, especially now since you seem to have some sort of issue.
I've had many issues, but this one is very important to me. Thank you. What do you think is going on with our pal at the moment?
He's probably eating a very sense food, drinking his ale.
Good. As he should be. We've earned it.
I'm sure he's just kicking back, and he's probably bored.
Yeah.
He should have came with us.
Yeah. Having a nice time. Except for Jabriel singing up there. It's unbelievable. They still employ him. It's terrible racket that is. Oh. I mean, yeah. While we wait, I mean, these people need to hear some sort of song, you'd think. Do you think we have time for like a 2-minute song? Would that be okay?
I think we have the time.
Okay. I'd like to just talk with the bar owner for a moment. I call him over and say, would you mind just once for old time's sakes that I get up there with Jabriel, nonetheless? Is that okay?
Of course, yes. And he strokes his flaming red flaming red beard, and he looks over at as Jabril, as he's called, is trying to you can tell that he's trying really hard to do something spectacular, but every so often he just gets nervous or his voice breaks a little bit, and he says, "Yes, please, sir, get him off the stage. He's making a mess of things."
And I run up there and I stand right next to Jabril, put my arm right around him.
No, well, this is quite nice. I suppose you want me to leave.
No, Gabriel. I wrote you the song in literally 2 minutes, so stay. I think you'll enjoy it. There's no name. It's just a song. So stay up here so the people can see you.
Is there a certain key that I should play in?
Yes, the key of shame, which is what the song shall be about.
What?
And I begin.
I don't understand.
Gabriel, you should be ashamed. You sing like a mule and still speak my name. While I've been gone, you've stayed the same. I'm back. You're unemployed. What a shame. The understudy should study a bit more. Maybe sing to the seagulls at the seashore. Your set is drab and quite a bore. Let me sing you some real lore. We've been far, we've been near, spoke in the forest to some deer, hid in the trees, women pleased, tricked some orcs right off their knees. You sing far, you sing near, you sing when no one's at the pier. You sing too, passing ships. 2 of my friends have more talent in their fingertips. But we're the best, and you're the rest. You couldn't pass the easiest test, 'cause you're Jabriel, the worst bard in the world, yeah.
And some of the people around are laughing and clamoring and clapping and stuff. And then there's a couple of dwarves that are sitting up front that pick up some their porridge and stuff and start hucking at Gabriel. Gabriel's, and they're like, "Oh, get down there from there! Get down from the stage and let the real man sing the tunes of this tavern!" And Gabriel's just like.
And I walk off stage and say, "I'm right back at it, old boy."
And he's standing and he's expected to play after that.
Yeah.
And
I walk right back to Cytherea. Thank you for indulging me.
Anytime.
And so people are just pelting him with food and everything. And then he finally just he sits down on the edge of the stage and he just kind of slumps his shoulders. He's not playing anything right now. Oh my goodness, that is just wow. Just wow.
I look forward to these every single time we play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah. What's next? So Cytherea, you've oh no, go ahead. You were about to say something.
No. My plan is to.
Cytherea, you've got those two initiates that are they're kind of standing on the periphery, and I think they've kind of made their way over to you while Trellion was singing, because apparently you were paying attention to it and they didn't want to interrupt you. So
while Trellion was singing, he got my mind off of everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Since we walked into the bearded wench, everywhere from the girl that disappeared and the flowers and people I saw in the background. But now that he's stopped, I can start getting tense again, and especially with these 2 initiates approaching.
Yeah. So they they press their palms together and give a bow and say, "Milady, you've returned. What news from the west?"
The train that we were on was attacked. Don't know how many people may have been killed or captured by orcs. We do need to tell the order that at least 3 days fast walk from here, there are some ill things going on with these orcs.
They look at each other and they look back at you, and the one that was speaking says, they've grown rather bold, haven't they? These orcs, they attacking a train such as that to kill people, as you said. They didn't, but you managed to fight your way out of it. How many did you kill? Tell us. Did you? And they kind of look at your armor and stuff, and they're saying that how many have bestowed upon your armor now? I mean, how many have festooned your? Sorry, I don't mean to speak out of turn.
I lift or raise my sleeve and show him the couple cuts that I did to offer penance for not getting the armor that I needed from the orcs that I killed.
You sped their souls onward to the Lord. That is good. That is good.
These aren't the.
Oh, good.
These aren't the orcs, the kind of orcs that everybody's used to. The sniveling, hiding in the shadows, opportunist. These orcs are bold, and they'll come right out in the open.
This is strange. Erik and I we've read about in the past of the old stories. The lore master at the keep, he always tells us about the times when the orcs used to have command of language and song and culture, and they're all far-fetched tales. They're all savages and barely hold together as tribes. But you're saying these are different.
Yeah, these orcs they show higher than usual intelligence, also tactics, and if I'm not mistaken, I could have sworn that several of them traveling together went from the same clan, which is unheard of.
Yeah, normally they just band together for whatever opportunity arises. Well, we will most definitely benefit from your knowledge and your experience, and whatever things you saw, I'm sure will help us to study and prepare so that we're ready should they approach us on the road. And hopefully we will be blessed with the Lord's gift that we will survive as well. But and Ulrich, the one that's next to him, has been kind of quiet. He just kind of gives the other one a nudge and says, "Well, we received your word that you had arrived, and well, the Lord Magistrate would like to see you. He would like to speak with you, and all of your group that went with you would be welcome, of course."
I say when we finish here, we'll go. We still have one at the Legate's house. We'll have to collect him, and I've also promised to accompany Trellion on a little quest that he needs to take care of.
But of course,
hopefully get some answers.
But of course, we will let him know that you will be along as soon as the Lord's work is accomplished. Yes. We will be on our way. Is there any other message that you wish to deliver back to the Lord Magistrate?
None at this time.
Very well.
Just warn them about the works.
We will carry your message back, and we will wear that upon our sleeves of knowledge. Yes. He bows, and and Ulrich next to him does so as well, and they turn to leave. So, yeah, the So the bar has been kind of brought to life a little bit in the wake of Trellion. You have folks that are coming over and goading you to do another performance. Come on, you know you can do this. Please, my brother is here from across the harbor, and he would love to hear another song from you if you're willing. I mean, one more. I mean, please. You've been gone for so long.
I know. In due time, though, I just got back, and
of course. Iron Hand, another round for Trellion and his companion. Yes, another round. And so he orders, and he slaps a coin down on the tabletop, and he turns around and walks away. And so there was a couple other folks that were with him. They were probably eager to see you perform, and they all returned back. And you actually are looking away from the mirror now, and you see Angeles kind of like walking amongst the patrons of the tavern, and she's like keeping her eyes on you as she's moving, and her long hair is kind of stirring in an unseen wind as she moves with real grace. And she's wearing like long kind of grayish to black robes. It's kind of hard because again she's kind of wispy, kind of ghostly, an apparition really. And she just kind of moves amongst the patrons in the bar, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell like what she's up to, but she doesn't leave your eye contact very often. Like sometimes she'll look down and then look back up at you with like a mischievous smile, and then she'll like kind of like move along like this and continue. And yeah, so she's kind of doing that kind of behavior right now as Iron Hand comes over and slams down a couple of mugs of ale and says, "Oh, it's good to have you back, Trellion. That's for sure." And he like slams it on the table. It kind of starts you, you're like, "Oh, yeah." So
now, do I still have the problem with my left eye? Problem.
You no, but I mean, like, there's kind of like from when you grazed it with that branch, like you.
No, like when I was when we came into the bearded winch, I could see regular out of my right eye, but like during your vision, that's right, yeah. But like I was saying, the branch that it kind of scraped along your cheek and like near your eye is it stings a little bit. Okay, I just wanted to know so I could maybe I could see Trellion's girlfriend.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No.
But if it just had to do with that vision, that's
yeah. No, it's I like that, but let me think here. Well, you know what? I mean, you're focused on it, right? I mean, it sounds like you're trying to kind of almost kind of like discern realities based on what Trellion is going through. Right, because I'm assuming you're noticing that he's kind of acting a little wonkier than usual. But so I mean, if you wanna do a discern realities, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah.
I can't bring that up. What do I need to roll?
Oh, for discern realities. I'm sorry, I should have grabbed that. It is, I think it's wisdom. Yeah. So yeah, roll wisdom.
All right. And let me see what are the 4? Oh crap, that's not good.
Oh my.
Which would actually be a 5 because the last adventure I had my next wisdom check roll
from your wisdom. That's right.
So I'll get rid of that.
So yeah, unfortunately, but so okay, so yeah, so like Valdyn earlier, you may mark XP, but hopefully, like Valdyn earlier, all the rest of your rolls shall be mighty. So yeah, so you're kind of like, I don't know, you're watching Trellion for a little bit, and trying to kind of get a gauge of what's going on with this guy. Why is he acting weird, right? And I think that I think that you get distracted because somebody in the tavern, sitting at his table, he's laughing and everything, and he falls forward, like face plants onto the table, and just like, you know, upends his whatever stew he's eating and stuff. And one of the people that's sitting at the table, there's like 4 other people at the table with him, and they all like get up and they're like, what's happening? Roderick, and he, you know, they're trying to like stir him. I think Trellion, you see Angeles behind him, and she's just kind of like, and then kind of like pirouettes away and walks along. So yeah, they there's like kind of a bit of a stir going on in the middle of the tavern, yeah, that happened. So maybe that distracted you.
Yeah, Cytherea, you're not seeing this? Nothing? My love is causing havoc. Woo.
Well, then maybe you should tell your love to wait outside.
No, that's my love. Yeah, you don't just boss around love of your life. Mm. And I give her a wink.
And she turns back to you, and then maybe she kind of casts a glance over to Cytherea and looks back to you and just kind of.
Fine, Cytherea, maybe I will go outside. Would you care to join?
Yeah, I think it's time to leave here.
I think so as well.
I think you've had enough excitement and enough drink for tonight.
Thanks for the drinks. And I leave in the glorious fashion, as always, walking through the repaired door, yet again, smashing through it.
Somebody's trying to like set it up, and you're just like, knock it aside.
Yeah.
And as he does that, I take 2 more gold out and flip it to the owner.
Nice.
As the veins stand out on his temples.
Yeah. He's trying to like calm down, and then like he looks over at the table where this person fell over onto the table, and he's like, no, we're going to summon a priest. He's just like, you know, trying to organize whatever the heck is going on there. Yep. So you head out into the early evening, because I think when you guys were getting in here, it was like close to nighttime, right? So you go out into the evening, and there's a couple of city workers are walking around on stilts, and they're doing the lighting of the lanterns as night is falling, and moving up and down the cobblestone streets, and doing their job. So when you get outside, what do you do?
Well, before we do this, we should probably meet with Valdyn.
Yeah, how far is Habiset's?
Yeah.
Not too far. I mean, you guys can make your way. It's a little bit south from where you are. Or I'm sorry, not south, but a little bit north from where you are, because you're towards the harbor district. So you guys can make your way in that direction.
It is in the same direction, after all. I mean, maybe we should just to check on him to make sure he's not torturing him too bad, even though that's fine with me, but you know.
That's probably a good idea. We probably shouldn't have left him with
not at
Habiset.
No.
So you guys are starting to walk in that direction, and something kind of brushes up against your leg and then moves on, kind of moving you a little bit, Trellion, and maybe you kind of look over and you think it's her, but it's actually Terberus, who's.
I was gonna eat it. Oh, okay. I won't eat it.
So he moves on ahead as you guys are traveling through the city streets. So yes, you guys are making your way along, and I think for Valdyn, you were. I think at this stage, we'll diagonal back to you for a moment. Haveriset's got his clothes back on. He's dried up and everything, and he's basically waiting at the top of the stairs. For I think maybe you're putting your armor back on, that sort of stuff to get ready to travel again. And he says, "There's an explanation of what's happened to your village. I owe you that information. Yes, that's what you're looking for."
Yeah. Maybe we should discuss this when we get to the others.
Yes, that's fine. It involves all of them anyway, or at least Cytherea.
Someone wants you dead.
Yes. There's quite a few, I believe, in this town. If one knows, then all of them know. And so he actually heads down the stairs. And he's, kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's like the gallows walk. You're not sure. Like he's kind of certain of death, something to that effect. And he heads towards the door, and he kind of like glances outside, looks left and right. It's nightfall now, and he looks back to you and says, "So you're involved with him, yes? He's some form of assassin group."
You'd be correct to assume so, yes.
You are full of surprises, Master Elf. Full of surprises.
Hopefully not too many. And hopefully no more for the rest of the evening.
One can draw quite a bit of conclusions when you tell stories of talking with deer and talking about a wolf of yours, and now you talk with assassins. Interesting. Well, let's be about it then. We're heading down to the Harbor District, I take it, if they've gone to this bearded wench.
That is where Trellion likes to play. Hopefully he's not tearing up the place.
Yes. I get to see Trellion again.
I think he likes you.
I thought your race was amongst the perceptive ones. I did not know you were known for your humor. So he...
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, well, you need humor in your life, since it's going to end soon.
Yes. So he continues onward, and you hear as you're walking, you hear the tolling of the evening bell from the Temple of Bennett Notch. That's a little bit north of where you are, and usually the tolling of the evening bell is the sounding of the change of guard at this temple, and the followers of this group are known for to be the protectors of secrets. Right, they're the ones that guard them and protect the masses from the knowledge that would turn them mad or would turn them upon themselves. And so the tolling occurs, but it goes on a little bit longer than normal, so it puts Haveriset a little bit on edge, as if he isn't already, but makes him a little bit nervous as you guys are continuing to walk through the streets. And I think eventually, you guys start to hear the bells as well, Cytherea and Trellion, and you guys eventually meet up along the way, and see one another.
And I asked Trellion if he got his whatever information he needed from Haveriset.
No, I was actually going to wait for all of us to be together.
Okay.
Well, he can explain it on the way. We have to go to my chapter house and meet with the Lord Regent of Southold.
Very well. Well, it's yes. Let's go there. That makes sense. Yeah, Havariset says, "Please lead on, Lady Knight." He's pretty eager about that.
All right, I turn and head deeper, back past the bearded winch and past the docks towards the center of town.
Okay. Yeah, so the sounding of the tolling of the bells in the temple of Bennett Notch continue to ring out, and you're starting to see like a crowd up ahead. And the direction that you're going, kind of a general sense of where you are in the city. You're starting to see kind of like a crowd forming up ahead as you're heading to cross one of the main streets that leads towards the chapter house.
Just like gathered around each other, or their backs to us, or they coming towards us, or
no, their backs are towards you. They're all kind of like amassing in a line, like they're kind of starting to line the street, it seems.
This can't be good.
Okay.
We should probably be careful.
There's probably an alternate route.
Shut up.
I turn to Trellion and Valdyn, tell them to watch the legate, and I'll go up and see what's going on.
Not a problem.
Okay. So you make your way forward, and there's, the people are kind of looking like this, like you're coming up from behind them, and they're all like kind of like craning their necks over the shoulders and looking around, and somebody, like a woman, I think, like at the front, like turns around, and you see her, like she's crying, she's weeping actually, and she turns away and she presses her way through the crowd. She's, "Oh, it's awful. I can't believe this is happening. This cannot be happening." And she's moving away, and she's you can tell she's got around her hand she has this like a long like leather necklace type thing that's been wrapped around her hand, and a pendant that swings below it is this kind of like a wagon wheel, like a metal wagon wheel type thing, but it's a spindle wheel that represents the symbols of the symbol of the Temple of Bennett Notch, where they're kind of like in the center of this wheel of life that spawns outward with the knowledge of eternity. And she's kind of pressing her way through, and she comes out, emerges from the crowd of people, and actually bumps into you, and steps back, and see tears are like streaming down her face, and
I kind of put my hands on her shoulders and I say, "Good woman, what has happened here?"
They've killed the Red Sister. You've killed the Red Sister on the night of the procession. They've killed her. She kind of like rests up against you and is like crying into your shoulder. She's a very small woman, and so it's like you can feel her like shuddering in fear and stuff. And she's, what has escaped? What's escaping now? If a sister is gone.
I tell her, "Take me to this Red Sister."
She turns, and she's trying to struggle a little bit and compose herself, and she moves over towards the crowd and just move aside for the Lady Knight. And she looks back, and she kind of gets a look at you, and then looks back and she says, "The Lady of the Order, move!" And the crowd turns back, and they see you, and a lot of them all have, or I would say all of them have these kind of necklaces on, the ones that have this pinwheel on. So you get out to this area, and you look across the way, and there's actually another rows of people that are kind of like there. watching, and a lot of them have that kind of general sense of horror on their faces, and they look. And the at the center of the road, there's a group of individuals that they're garbed in like long black robes. They've got their these hoods that kind of stretch upward over tall helms that kind of like arch upward into like a conical helm. And they all have these long swords. They're not quite claymores, but they've got double handles and they've got long hilt guards. And then the blades come out that are super thin. I mean, in battle, these would probably break, but they're a little bit more ceremonial than anything. But they're all kind of standing around and guarding a scene. And in between them, there's one of them that is knelt down and is standing over a small figure that's garbed in red robes, like blood red robes. And where the robes kind of pool out, you see that there's also blood that's pooling out from underneath them as well. And he's, basically just trying to, I don't know, it's hard to tell. I mean, if you wanted to kind of get a closer look, you can. If you want to know a little bit more about the, what's happening.
I'll step up.
Yeah. And one of the figures looks over and sees you and says, "Halt, yeah. We have this in hand. There has been a tragedy. But you must stand back."
And I take a couple more steps forward, hand on the hilt of my sword, not threatening, but maybe they'll get the hint. And I'll say, I just comforted a woman, and the ceremonies and vows that I've taken as a knight of the Order of the Veil. And I must comfort this woman and apparently this crowd. And on top of that, maybe I can help capture or get some information on what's happened here.
The hand is still kind of up. It's got this like silk glove, black glove that's held up like this, and hands held up, and the figure like turns, and when you come up close to them, the conical helm is kind of got like this long line that's along this way, and then a single line that goes across to where they can see out, and it glances over the shoulder, and the figure that's crouched over the body has been watching the discourse and looks up and nods and waves you forward.
As I do step forward, I'm looking around the crowd. You said that everybody was upset and crying.
Yeah, crying. Various stages of like surprise, shock, disbelief.
And I'm looking for people with expressions not of that, neutral expressions. You said all of them were wearing the emblem of the...
Yeah, most of them are like in one way, shape, or form. Yeah, some may not be able to afford a pendant, that sort of thing. But so while Cytherea is doing that, what are you other two doing?
I turn to Valdyn and say, "Valdyn, it has been a while since I've seen you. You look okay, but there's something that seems hurt." And I begin slowly weaving and weaving and weaving. And I would like to cast arcane art on the apple.
On the apple?
That he's been eating. Your food, it's been hurt.
I'm not even going to question name.
And I have a +1 to that. So do I heal the apple?
Do you heal the apple?
I sure hope you have a whole apple.
So describe arcane art to me. What is that?
I'm materializing it, slowly mumbling to myself, trying to conjure up the bits and pieces that that has been torn away from this beautiful piece of food, and slowly building the replacement parts of the apple.
Right. Okay.
Did he succeed?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, sure. The
Yes.
so you got an 8 on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you start to see. So what do these arcane energies look like as you?
Blue and white lights slowly materializing, blending together, and just bits and pieces all forming together at once until there's an apple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the.
Sorry.
No, this is good. Actually, I couldn't have anticipated this, but this is pretty good. I can never anticipate what you people are gonna do, this is why I love this game. Okay. So I think the apple starts to kind of like it starts to stitch together and come back together and everything, and I think that I'll have to do it. I'm gonna have to do this. So it came to mind, and I'm like, no, this is too good. I have to do it. So you do this, and I think that somebody from the crowd turns around and sees it and says, "Oi, a healer! There's a healer!" And so they turn around. There's like 4 or 5 people that come over, and they actually come over and they grab you bodily, and they're starting to drag you towards the street. So what do you do?
Now, you need a song? A healer?
Something has befallen the red sister. She's been struck.
Is the red sister a piece of steak? Because that sounds pretty good right now.
No, it's the red sister. Are you daft?
No, just wrong. But we can go and take me to the red sister. Hopefully they'll. So
they're kind of like muscling you along. So so you there's a disturbance behind you, Cytherea, as you are. So you go ahead and before this kind of starts to break out here, go ahead and do your. It sounded like you were doing a discern realities, so let's have you do that.
Was that me?
No, Cytherea.
Cytherea, awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Got an 8.
Yeah.
All right. So you can, I believe it is, you can pick one of those. Ask one and then take +1 forward acting on the answer.
All right, the discern realities.
Yeah. I know you were looking around for somebody, but I don't know if one of those might help with what you're looking for.
What should I be on the lookout for here?
Okay. So as you're kind of you're scanning the crowd, and all of a sudden you hear that disturbance over kind of where you came from, and you're thinking, oh man, it's got to be Trellion, of course. And so you see the crowd starting to kind of be disturbed in that area, and they start to kind of move aside as they're dragging Trellion's form through the opening there. And as they're doing so, you see one of the cloaked figures is trying to kind of monitor that and then see what's happening. He's going to take a step forward to figure out what's going on. And from up on the roof across the street, there's somebody that's silhouetted against the moonlight and drawing or putting a bolt into a crossbow and raising it and aiming down towards the gathering.
Okay, how far are they?
Probably it's if you want to think about it, you're on a open street that's maybe 15-20 feet wide. I think that would be about enough. Yeah, about 15-20 feet, enough for a couple carts to go back and forth. And you're in the middle of that street, and there's buildings on either side of you, 3-4 story tall, and it's starting to get more of a denser feel here. There's a lot more buildings, a lot more people going on because you're getting to the center of town. And yeah, and this person has a crossbow that's up on the roof. Maybe I want to say like I don't know geometry. So it's they're a bit of a distance away. I mean, you can see them. I'd say they're within 100 feet. Let's say, just to be.
Okay. Do I and Valdyn have? Can we see each other?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would say Valdyn's probably like following along with Trellion as he's getting moved along. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of give him a heads up and I point to the person with the crossbow.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So.
And I take my shield out.
Okay. So yeah, the one who kind of waves you through is looking over at you, and well, you can't see their face, and so looking over at you, and like they kind of cant their head to the side. Is there something wrong? What is it that you wish to do here? You wish to look upon the body.
I look back at him and I just point to the person up in the building and just cry out, "Assassin!"
And so yeah, so you're like let it out, like you're.
I didn't want to panic anybody, but
okay.
I don't know who this guy's going to shoot, so maybe it'll scatter the crowd.
I
So Valdyn?
rolled a wisdom because I was also thinking along the same lines as maybe I would look around and see if I noticed. So
yeah, sure.
wouldn't have to scream.
So like a discern reality. Yeah, sure. You want
And that's
to?
what that 10 was for.
Okay.
That I rolled.
Yeah, go ahead and hit me with with 3 questions then.
Let's see here.
And then keep in mind that Cytherea pointed out the assassin, so you can kind of see their silhouette.
Okay. Trying to see if there's something that'll give me a more advantageous position or something. Let's see here, which would be what was the question? What here is useful or valuable to me?
Golly, what here is useful or valuable to you? I don't want to go with the basics like, find cover, that sort of thing. I think, oh, you know what? Out front of the building where this person is kind of high, up on the top, you see the owner of the building standing out front. It looks like it's some kind of a shop that he's standing in front of, and he's kind of like watching what's going on in the procession, but at the same time he's probably like waiting there to sell people stuff as they depart the procession. So he's just kind of like getting an angle on what's going on. So he might be useful because he owns the building that's there.
More along the lines of if there's anybody else, what should I be on the lookout for? And then the last one, what is about to happen? Does it look like he's like about to fire, or does it look like I can have time to run in there and?
Yeah, he's. So what you should be on the lookout for?
Sneak up behind him.
Yeah. The
Oh, there I am.
There you go. So yeah, there is like a way that you could probably like kind of clamber over to like not like a fire escape, but kind of like a combination of ladders, that sort of thing that go along the side of the building, that you could probably like get up onto the roof. So that might be kind of like a way for him to escape, but it might also be a way for you to get up there. What's about to happen? Yeah, it looks like he's about to shoot again. He knows that he's caused a stir, and he's kind of, he's got his crossbow like he's ready, and he's looking around and he's seeing that, Cytherea has outed him, but at the same time he's settling back into fire.
Okay, I'm going to shoot him then.
Okay. All right. Wow. All right, so I'm assuming you're rolling volley. So yeah, you You have a clear shot. Go ahead and deal damage. So whatever your damage is with your volley.
Come on. Damage.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. So what does it look like when you kill this guy?
Oh, I killed him.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say center mass chest shot.
Okay. All right. Nothing fancy. Nice and clean. Just want to make sure that it puts him down. Okay. Yeah. You put an arrow right through his chest, and he comes like he kind of like staggers backwards, and then he's trying to like grab onto the crossbow and like fire it again. But, like the shot goes, up in the air or something like that and hits a cat down the road or something. And but then like he stumbles forward and he like comes off the roof of the 3-story building, and he like lands. People kind of like are screaming and moving out of the way, and he just sunk, like crashes into the street below.
You can calm down now.
Yeah, everybody can calm down. So yeah, that happens. Cytherea, you're kind of there in the street. Trellion, you're getting dragged along, but then the people like see this happening and they scatter. They drop you or stop manhandling you, and they just move aside and they run away. So what do you guys do?
I'm going to let them go first because I'm going to cast a spell here in just a second on the deceased.
Okay.
Valdyn, I think someone's hurt. Someone fell. I'm gonna go over and cast Arcane Art. Come on.
I'm gonna go work my magics. Hopefully he has an apple.
What
is
happened?
Arcane Art your new thing? That you
I
got?
remembered I had it.
Yes, let's go.
All right.
All right. So yeah, so you head over to the body, and so Tuberous is like along with you as well. I need to remind you that he's there, and
I haven't forgotten.
yeah. No, I actually, I'll be honest, to remind me that he's there. So let's just put it out there. Let's just call it like it is. So he trots along over with you to go and inspect the body, and you get there and you both see. So I don't know, Trellion, Valdyn, what are you doing when you get to the body? People are scattered away. They're like running aside and moving away and everything, just trying to get out of the area.
Valdyn, I mean, I'm dumb, but it looks. I'm not that dumb. He fell, but there's an arrow. What happened?
I think he turned the crossbow on himself.
Wow. Maybe he dropped an apple. Poor guy. I could have helped him 5 minutes earlier. Do you recognize him?
That's actually what I'm about to do. Wrists and chest, looking for any insignia. Hopefully I didn't just kill somebody that I know.
This is what happens when you voice these concerns. He definitely has the branch on his forehead. Or his forehead. I mean his forearm. He doesn't... I'm the assassin magnum. No, he is one of the group. Yeah.
Well, if he has it on his head. Oh, there we go.
There
Yep.
So say that
if he
again.
has it on his forehead, then
No, it's on his forearm. It's not his forehead. That was a stupid GM slip.
I was gonna say, well, he deserved to die.
Those forehead people, they're the worst. They're the worst.
Okay. Face recognition. Do I recognize it?
So you're looking at him, and
Please be another new guy. Please be another new guy.
no, unfortunately, you're You're not that lucky. You do recognize him. Or actually, I should say you recognize her. It's a female named Hina, Hina, and she's she's probably like in her early teens. She's somebody who showed promise in climbing skills and obviously shooting. But yeah, she looks up at you with dead eyes, and yeah, I mean you maybe even have like memories of working with this person. I don't know. Up to you.
Well, shit.
Oh, you recognized her. I'm sorry. That's what you're supposed to say, right? I'm sorry. Oh.
No, not sorry.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is the second person I've seen so far from the guild.
They're just popping up everywhere.
Yeah. And
Not so, inconspicuous, standing on top of a building and raising an alarm.
yeah, they're getting. So I feel like they get dumber, but then they get smarter. Like I think it's just like when they get to us, they're on one end of the spectrum, like either all the way over here or all the way over there. There's no good malleable people anymore.
No, I can attest to that.
All right. Well, and I'm going to very discreetly try and drag the body and dispose of it as best I know how.
And you're hearing a few calls for the call someone of the call one of the black badges. Call one of the black badges quickly. There's been murder.
Oh,
And somebody who's like looking over at you and says, this one protected the rest of us. He stopped the assassin.
And I'll say, thank you.
actually, yes. Trellion, distract them. I don't know.
The guy's like looking at Valdyn and pointing at you and says, no, was it?
And I take him by the shoulder. Oh, thank you so much. I've done a wonderful job. Would you like to hear about it?
No, but I'm sure that you...
I killed the man and you didn't. Let's walk over here.
So we flash over to Cytherea, who is who's doing what? What are you doing?
I see that they have their situation in hand, and
That's
I'm
what
sad.
you want to call
He's kind of skulking up towards them since Trellion was basically taken, and Valdyn killed this girl in cold blood. And I turn back to the. I guess are these people priests or?
Well, why don't you spout lore? Let's see what you know about the Temple of Bennett Notch. All right, cool. So you're kind of like getting your bearings here and realizing, just how much you've been in the order, how long you've been in the order. You've been in the city for, just as long, if not longer. And while you've gone away on mission and come back and been around, and sometimes you just kind of lose track of the calendar, and you realize that this is the time of the year for the procession of the Red Sister, which is it's an annual. Normally, actually, I should say it's an annual ceremony that occurs, and I think that what you notice is that normally that ceremony occurs at the dawning of spring, and right now you know that it's in the middle of winter, and they're having this procession now. And normally the procession is kind of a symbol of how the Red Sister is the keeper of the secret, whatever secret that may be. Like, it's just kind of a symbol of their faith in what they do when they keep these secrets as told to them by their deity, which ones they should be holding. And the Red Sister is guarded by the servants of shadow, because secrets can only remain secret when they're hidden, when they're kept in the dark and there's no light to shine upon them. And so the symbol of the black-robed blades that surround her are kind of that protective circle of anonymity and secrecy and that sort of thing. And so they always wear these helms. She even has a mask that's over her face to where you can't see who it is. And it's just an annual passage that occurs during spring. And it's kind of like with spring comes new life, comes new light, and comes the danger of secrets being found in that light. And so it's kind of a symbolic ceremony to represent that. So I would say the knowledge that, I'll turn over to you to see if it's, you see how you make it useful, is that normally that occurs in spring, and right now it's winter.
Okay.
And I forgot I had this thing here. Wow.
So the guards are still between me and her.
Right.
I walk up to the guard I've been talking to and ask his permission to kneel down to the body.
He stands and moves his hands into his robes. His sword is along his back, and he looks over at the commotion, the downed assassin, and is this trouble that we should be concerned about? More attackers, or are these people with you?
The elves are with me and the wolf. I don't know who this assassin is.
Very well. What is it that you wish to do?
I wish to cast a spell. I won't touch the body or desecrate it in any way, but I would like to speak with the dead.
He shudders a little bit at that, and he looks to you, and you hear him say from behind his helm, he says, "Some secrets, Lady Knight, are meant to be hidden by the wall of death. Are you sure you wish to do this?"
Yes.
Very well. He stands up, and he pulls his hands out, and he's got these long black gloves that are on, so you can't see a stitch of skin on him. And he turns and he gestures to the others that are around him, and he makes like a single gesture like this, and then goes like this, and all of the figures come around and they encircle you, and they hold their robes up in such a way that it's like black wings, like raven's wings, that kind of like unfurl, and the robes themselves have some form of material within them that kind of give them a bit of shape and form. So it's not just cloth hanging down. It actually feels like wings as they surround you. And you remember, you've seen the end of the ceremony before, and maybe all of you have. You've been in the city long enough, at least. If you've been in here at least a year, then you've seen it, or you were here the last spring, you saw it possibly. But it basically forms this kind of like impenetrable wall of darkness that surrounds whoever's in the middle. And usually that's in the middle. When that occurs, they do this, and the Red Sister is in the middle. And when they bring their wings down, the Red Sister is gone. And so that's kind of how they finalize the ceremony. So yeah, so they do that now, and you're kind of, it's an odd feeling because the city sounds around you, even the sounds of the people that are like, screaming and shouting for the guard and everything like that, drifts away. And it's almost like you're in a sea of night. And up above you, you see the stars. And you don't even see the tops of the buildings. You just see the stars, and you're left alone to do this thing. So what does it look like when Cytherea speaks with the dead?
Of course, the mark that I have on my hand again glows, but this time more of a greenish yellow and not a blue like it has in the past. I bend down and whisper into the Red Sister's ear, and I guess I need to roll a wisdom on that. Correct.
Let's take a look.
It's going to be a cleric spell.
All right. So let's see. It's just called Speak with the Dead.
Yeah. And it just says, corpse converses with you briefly. It will answer any 3 questions you pose to it to the best of its knowledge it had in life and the knowledge it gained in death.
All right. Okay. So let's have you roll wisdom. Okay, so you get a +1 acting on the knowledge that you saw in this area, so that'll put you to an 8. Not much of a difference, but it kind of gets you into that mid-range there, right? Okay, let me take a look. So you are casting the spell. All right. So you do this, and I think the that feeling of being isolated in the dark starts to kind of press in on you, and you feel yourself kind of shuddering a little bit. You feel yourself kind of groaning, like the insides of your stomach are starting to kind of turn and heave, like there's just like this. The very prayer that you had the evening before about kind of quelling an anxiety and praying for the safety of your fellows, it feels like it's being ripped away from you, and that anxiety comes pouring into your center like an avalanche. Instead of hot fire, it's like this cold, this like bitter, bone-chilling cold that's just swirling around in your guts, and it's causing you to, you actually physically kind of feel like you're pushed down to you're on your knees, but you're kind of physically pushed down, and you have your hands go out to kind of stop you from hitting the ground, and you realize that you no longer have your gauntlets on, and you touch like this glass surface beneath you. And you open your eyes and you see that it's like you're standing on obsidian, and you look at yourself and you actually can see your reflection in the ground, and you no longer have your armor on. You're just wearing a simple tunic and pants, maybe dressed like a peasant of some kind, and you look over your shoulder a little bit, and there's a woman that's standing over your shoulder, and she says, why are you here? Why are you here in the darkness with me? This is a journey for myself, I think. Who are you?
I'm Cytherea Nightbane of the Order of the Veil. And unfortunately, you've been murdered.
She's kind of feeling uncomfortable, and she like raises her hand to her neck, and she's wearing very simple clothes, very well pressed, ironed, kind of like a mixture, a swirl of folded robes and tunic and breeches, and almost kind of like a monk's outfit, almost, but it's deep red, deep red, to the point that you feel like if you reached out to touch her, your hand would go into like a pool of blood, and she's leaning back and she's holding her throat, and as she turns a little bit, you see that there's a bolt, like a coral from a crossbow, is sticking through her neck. And around the surface of her skin, you see her skin is like very creamy, clear, and unblemished, except for this darkness that's kind of blooming out from where the bolt had gone in. Where you would expect blood, you're actually seeing blackness that's kind of blooming outward.
Kind of like a sickness, or
Yeah.
is it internal, or is it?
It's kind of underneath, like almost like a bruising, but it's like a really super deep black. It almost matches the obsidian around you.
Okay. I take a step forward, and my hand starts hurting. I look down, and the emblem of the Order of the Veil has changed colors now. It's more of like a kind of like a black light.
Yeah.
And there's small veins just going up my fingers and around the back of my hand. And I don't know how I know, but I know that I'm not going to be able to get three questions answered.
Let's see what happens. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. The roll doesn't interfere with the number of questions you get to ask.
Okay. So I ask her first, why are you having this ceremony in the wintertime?
She is rubbing at her neck, and she tries to focus, and she says, there are some things that are different now. We were told by our patron that there is a change in the north, that it was brought on by a death. We must guard this secret, and we could not wait for the spring. There are too many eyes upon it, too many eyes that seek to benefit from it. We must seal it away.
Now I'm going to ask her, who is your benefactor that told you this about the north?
The great shadow stealer, the harbinger of the knowledge unseen, my Lord Bennett Notch, told us.
And then I step even closer to her, where I'm almost face to face, and I whisper to her. I say, what is your secret?
The Queen is dead. She starts the blackness starts to bloom outward, and she starts to kind of shudder and convulse, and the ground beneath her starts to pool and lose tension, and she starts to sink into that obsidian glass surface as it kind of like ripples outward from her. I return to the darkness, but now this world is yours. And she disappears and starts to fade away. And you're kind of left in this darkness. And you're thinking that it should be, hey, it's time to go. But the ground re-solidifies after she disappears, and in the distance you hear kind of like a rumbling, like echoing from a really vast distance, like really far away. And you look off in the direction of where that might be, and then the rumbling starts to realize and coalesce into a growl, like a deep growl. And I think at that point you come out of it, and there's kind of like this sudden like shine of light, or like a shining light that kind of like comes in and like kind of breaks through where you're at, and you notice that the black guards have kind of like pulled their cloaks back, and the light of the the lanterns and stuff around the street have kind of like started to kind of shine in. So that occurs, and the Red Sister is gone, and you're kind of left there to kind of collect yourself. So let's so you want to think about that, and then and ponder it for a little bit, and then Trellion and Valdyn. Actually, so we've so Cytherea, you're kind of like dealing with this particular episode here. Let's sweep over towards Valdyn and Trellion. So what are you two doing as this is happening?
Well, while he's distracting everybody, and it looks like I'm not going to be able to get this body hidden away and disappeared, since everybody seems to notice that it's there. Don't want to have to do it, but I will. Where's the mark that she has, the identifier?
It is on her left forearm, like underneath like a bracer of some form or something like that. I mean, you were able to kind of undo the bracer and find it. So yeah, so you're able to. So yeah, so the mark is the tattoo is under the bracer on her forearm. And when you were looking for it, you undid the bracer. So yeah, you can see it there.
Okay, I'm cutting it off.
Like skinning it or cutting the forearm off?
I am skinning the forearm.
Oh boy! All right. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, you're a ranger, and you've
Just
had to
like
skin.
a deer.
Yeah, you've had to skin an animal or two in your time, and you said you were dragging it off into an alley anyway. So, and Trellion, you're kind of doing the whole distraction thing and stuff, and making a scene. So, yeah. So you kind of like, I think like the camera kind of sees you looking at over your shoulder. You're looking at the arm. And maybe, I don't know, is this something you're kind of resigned to do? I mean, is it just why do you need to do this? Is this symbol so prevalent that somebody would notice it, or?
I don't want it to be noticed, and I don't want anything to come back to us.
All right.
In any way, shape, or form.
How do you feel about having to do this?
Upset at first, but realizing that it's necessary for the sake of secrecy.
Yeah. So I think we have kind of like this worm's eye view looking up at your face as you're kind of like going through those emotions, and then maybe we just like the camera kind of comes back and we see you kind of like pull the body a little bit further into the shadows, and we just see the flash of a knife, and we head back out to Trellion, who is talking with a couple of people who are. So you're able to see this person up on the roof, and you managed to save. You saved us.
A mile away, I saw her, just floating up there. How could you miss her? And it took no time at all. Disposed of her, gone, just like that. Surely
you were sent by the keeper of secrets to stop them. Oh,
Absolutely.
if only you had been here in time to see the Red Sisters to safety. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe having the ceremony now at this time, things have to be different, and you've become some form of messenger of it. Yes.
Yes. I have been sent.
You're here. And he pulls off his amulet and gives it to you and says, "Oh, may the dweller in shadows watch over you. and keep those things that you hold most important safe and secret.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You can address me now as the best bot in the world and amazing human being. Thank you. Actually, Elv, but to you, peasants, just kneel, quiet. I need to get
they're
going.
not quite like sure like what to do with that. And you can hear in the distance, you can hear the sound of like marching boots as that are kind of like coming at the fast trot as they're kind of like trying to figure out what to do with what you just said. Best bot in best. He's looking over at his friend like best bot in the world. Well, bots are always full of such the black robes are coming. They've or the black badges, I should say. The black badges are coming. They will want to hear your testimony.
I'm sure they will. Unfortunately, I have one question. Why is everything in this town a color? Black gods, red sister, yellow moon, purple toilet. What is with this? What is the significance of these colors?
They look like it. They look at one another and they look back at you and they look at each other and then they look back at you. And they actually like one of them like reaches into a vest, like they have like one of those little leather vest jerkins or whatever it is, and he pulls out a puzzle box and he hands it to you and he says, if your questions are that important and you must know the answers, reach the inside of this box and meet with us. There is a growing number of us who feel the way you do. And the other one like grabs his arm and says, let's go. And so they look at each other and they look at you and they say, you are the kind that we need. And he turns around and him and his friend like take off. They kind of like move into the crowd and that are kind of like disappearing and dissipating as they start to hear the thump of the boots coming. And you hear kind of like the sound of like some kind of like weird calling whistle of some kind. Yeah.
I'm going to take off running back towards Valdyn.
Okay. So yeah, he's probably like a couple of alleys down, and so Valdyn, you emerge from the shadows. Maybe you have, I don't know, were you able to kind of like keep the blood to a minimum, and how'd you manage that?
Yeah, we'll say I'm a little bloody, just a little blood.
All right. Okay. So he comes out of the alley, mouth of the alley, and Cerberus is kind of like, he's been sitting at the mouth of the alley and he's looking up at you and he looks at Trellion coming up and he looks back at you and he says in his, that bond that you share, you harmed one of your own.
And do I have any paper on me?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I'm scrolling a quick little message, and pretty much to the point of, I will be on my way soon, expect me to arrive at so-and-so time. And I kind of give it to Cerberus. Imagine he has like some sort of like harness or something on him, something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's probably like he has like a
companion,
like a collar or something like that. Yeah, or what would you like him to have?
Probably would have some sort of like that armor that you see on like wargs and stuff, but more like for a wolf.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. That's a neat little additional picture we have of him now. That's cool. Yeah.
I'm kind of just like tucking that in there, and I tell him, you remember where the headquarters is, right?
The place where you keep all your pups.
Yes.
Yes.
Great way to put it.
And he like looks over and sniffs into the alley and looks back at you and says, "Do I expect trouble of these? Shall I end them for you?"
Then I turn around. What do I see?
Well, no, he's referring to the dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought there were like people standing behind.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Should I expect trouble such as this?
Oh. No, you should be fine.
He
Nothing will mess with you. You're a wolf.
he
Who would mess with you?
He looks at you, and then he looks back at Trellion as he's kind of like making his way back over, and he says, "The armored female. Her attention is drawn away. The other elf, his attention is on himself." And then he like looks at you and he says, "But your attention should be broader, Broken Tooth." And he like looks over and he sees his snout kind of points towards Haveriset, who's basically, he hasn't moved. He's actually standing over by a wall, and he's just kind of waiting, and his arms are folded, and he's got that different posture, right? And
Did
he looks.
See me do all that?
No, he wasn't looking.
Oh, okay.
He's just kind of like waiting, and he's like, he looks more, and I think actually Cerberus puts it in a certain way. He says, "He is wary now, and he is aware. He smells smarter." And I kind of the emotion that you get along those lines, like when he says that he smells smarter, the emotion that you get along those lines is kind of like it's kind of like when a wolf stops being selfish and starts looking around itself rather than inward. So I don't know, he thinks that he's different now. Haveriset seems different now. So he kind of like looks at you and says, "Be that as it may, you should not have let go of your prey. Be careful, he may walk away from you."
I'll watch over him. And if he does escape, contracts on his life, he'll be dead before the week's over.
It's not easy being hunted. So he kind of like nuzzles your hip a little bit, and then like kind of with his head, and kind of like pushes up against you, and kind of in greeting and farewell, and he turns and he lopes off. People are kind of like, what the hell is this thing? They thought it was with you, and then he just kind of like takes off by itself. Some the dog catcher. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, he kind of knows to kind of stick to the shadows and stay away from people. So he'll go do his thing. And then that's about the time when Trellion arrives.
Shall we join Cytherea?
Yeah. You did what you had to. I assume we should meet up.
Yes, we should. Haveriset.
Yes. We're quite done here.
I believe so.
Our knight looks a little shaken. So he nods over towards Cytherea. So what are you doing, Cytherea?
My vision is still kind of swimming, kind of dizzy. So I'm just trying to get my bearings, standing there in the middle of the street. Kind of just looking off in the distance.
They move away, and they start to file away in unison, and one of them remains behind and looks to you and doesn't say anything, just kind of stands and waits. So I don't know, Cytherea, if you have anything you wanted to say. I know you had mentioned something before.
Just tell him that if he needs to go and take care of his followers, he can go.
Is there anything that you have discovered a reason why.
And I'd look at him and I say, no, everything was just dark, or there was nothing. It was darkness.
Very well. If there's ever a need for comfort of some kind, and you do not find it within your order, what you've done here, you've earned a place with us if you wish to seek guidance.
I kind of just salute him.
And so he
And thank you.
bows respectfully and turns and leaves. And as he walks along the stone, like he walks purposefully over there's like this pool of blood that was left behind by the Red Sister. You know, even she disappeared, her clothing disappeared. And as he walks over it, you see the backs of his cloak really do look like the ends of feathers of wings from like a raven's wings. And as it passes over, the blood disappears behind it as he passes over it, and leaves behind the clean cobblestone street as he goes and joins his brethren as they head back to the temple. So, yeah. So the crowd is starting to kind of disperse. There's a few who are probably there to kind of wait and see what happens when what we've actually as a group we kind of were working on, the Black Legates arrive. And these are the ostensibly the town guard, the town watch. They are a group, whereas most of the legates in the city and across the realm are of kind of like a governorship. Within the city of Southold, there's a grouping of them. There's a council that has to watch over it. And in fact, it's called the council. And of different color designations, stone designations, that sort of thing, that we haven't heard about yet in the fiction, and we can probably develop as we go. But one that we've been talking about is the Black Legates, who I think rather than having an actual leader of this group, they all share the same rank of protector. Whereas the Ghost Eyes are kind of assigned to, and I think it was Bob or Cytherea who came up with the idea of the male and female pairing that goes along with as protectors of each of the legates here. These have no such thing, but they are viewed as a single person or a single rank, and they travel the city ostensibly as kind of a police force. And they're called the Black Badges for the large symbol of Southold that they wear over their tunics. And also for the fact that they wear like a uniform black set of armor. And so you know if there's ever been a crime, somebody's said something, and probably they're not going to be too far away, and that's who's approaching right now. So as you guys reunite in the middle of the street, what do you all do?
So do Valdyn and Trellion they make it to where I am before the Black Badges make it?
Right, and Havera is there with you. Yeah.
I turn to Havera, and because I personally have never dealt with the Black Badges, tell him that he might want to speak for us.
He immediately responds and says, "I shouldn't. We need to go."
The one time we need you to be useful. One time.
He looks pointedly at Valdyn, and then he looks back over at Cytherea, and he says, "Things have changed. Things are different now. Things have moved along further than I had anticipated. We must go."
I look down at where the body was. Like you said, it's totally disappeared. There's been no sign of a crime.
Right.
And kind of whisper, I think he's right. We should be going.
Very well.
Fine.
So you guys move off. All right. So Yeah, so, and Trellion, make sure you write down that puzzle box on your character sheet or
Yeah.
somewhere in your notes.
I've been
Make
thinking
sure you
about
remember
it
that.
since you said it.
Okay.
Just don't play with it in the street.
It's called, it's some legendary names. The Cube of Rubik. No, I'm just no, nothing that heinously 80s. But, yeah, so you guys move off into a parallel street and then move on towards the chapter house. Yeah, I think you guys make it away from there. There is so we arrive at the chapter house of the Order of the Veil, and I wasn't sure about like pictures of any kind or something like that.
Oh yeah, I can describe it for you if you want.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking, the kind of place that I'm imagining Southold being is kind of like a mixture of Old English and Gothic, and or I'm sorry, like kind of like a French Gothic that's kind of blended in from the Dark Ages and into like kind of going into the Renaissance, but not quite there. Can't quite get over the hump. So I was thinking of like a picture like this, but I mean, feel free to like kind of color it the way you want. Whatever inspiration.
That's about what I was thinking, but around it is it's not really a gate. It's more like a hedgerow.
Okay.
And, beautiful flowers of all different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think to see roses and other flowers on the same vine, but all around this place, that's what it is. And the main gate is like somebody has got like saplings and braided them together where it's made like an arch, and hanging down from the arch it looks like vines, but you can't see through it.
Wow.
Standing on each side is a small like gatehouse, kind of like in England where the Queen's Guards they go.
Yeah.
It's just big enough for them to stand in, but it's part of the wall too.
Okay.
And when I walk up, I just touch the gate, and the vines and leaves, they kind of separate, and we can go in. Inside is it's a dark cobblestone pathway. Every so often, more pathways go around. The place is in a circle, so
Okay.
every so often you have more pathways going around. Standing in the center is this massive building, and every so often, you were talking earlier about the blue orbs.
Mm-hmm.
There's small blue orbs hanging from lanterns on the trees, and that's the only light that's in the grounds itself. When we walk up to the building, on each side there's 6 guards and 6 guards, totally motionless. You would think they were statues if you didn't look too closely at them, but they're actually people. Again, and lower than initiates, and what they have to do is stand there for sometimes days on end without moving, without talking. That's part of their trials.
Okay.
We get to the doors, and as if by magic, they open, no sound whatsoever. And these are huge doors.
Right.
They just glide open, and inside, again, we walk into a circle around a large round room. In the center are 3 chairs. One's higher than the other 2, and again, in a circular pattern, are more initiates are putting large logs down.
Okay.
And as soon as they do that, they cast their magic, and vines grow up from the stone, and they make like chairs and altars, and that's what they do. They tend this. Everything in this room is alive. You can almost feel the stones actually kind of vibrate, and if you didn't know any better, you would think that they were listening.
That's cool.
And as we walk by, torches light on their own until we reach the center, and the head of the order sits in the chair that's higher than the other two, and the other two set two figures. One's a man, one's a woman, all dressed in white. They have mask on, but they also have kind of a thick, almost like leather. It's white. Everything on them is white, except for a small line, a small black line where they look out, and they sit on each side of the head of the order.
Nice.
Who's dressed totally in green, has kind of a crown made of sticks and flowers and stuff like that.
And so that kind of like goes back to what you were talking about, how there might have been an elf that, started this order, right? Yeah. Well, that's cool. So all right, so how do the other two, as they're kind of like approaching in here? I mean, is there any kind of like protocol to like having somebody coming in with you, or is it just that it's you and it's fine? You're going to be allowed in.
I turn back to Valdyn and Trellion and have a set, and I show them to a seat, freshly grown. Mm-hmm. As they sit in it, it kind of molds around their body too. So there's not. It looks uncomfortable, but as soon as they sit in it, it shapes to fit their bodies.
Wow.
Trellion,
it's so comfy.
Oh, I love it.
And I approach the dais where these three are sitting, and drop down to one knee, take out my sword and lay it at his feet.
All right, cool. All right, so let's see. So I wanted to like kind of throw something over for Trellion here too. Is that I know you're a very atypical bard, right? Quite the atypical bard. But I wanted to confirm, like, you have as one of your primary or your first feats abilities is bardic lore. Is like one of the things that you have. And which ones did you pick? Or which one did you pick as an expertise? Was it? I think it was Grand Histories.
Grand Histories, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I think that something's kind of triggering in your memory here. So just to kind of like tickles along in the back of your head about something, and I don't know, as you're looking around, that sort of thing, and just kind of like planting the seed, no pun intended here, in this scenario of I don't know. I mean, make sure you're kind of like looking for opportunities to kind of like ask those questions and stuff, just to kind of like when you're seeing things. And I think in this situation, the memory of the conversation you had in the woods with Valdyn, as Valdyn had kind of described what had happened when he ran across the deer, right? And you all were talking about the goings on in the forest and what was happening in the forest. And there's something about this place that reminds you of one of the elements there that he was talking about, which was about these not treants, but something else. Remember we were talking about that, like it wasn't quite a treant, it was those who, the way that the animals had described it, I think it was it Cerberus, or if it was the deer, I can't remember, but those who tread the woods with anger. Yeah, that's the one.
It was the deer.
It was the deer. and
it was the food.
It's the
food. Yeah.
it was the meth head deer. What was that?
Yes.
I was listening to the recording, and I realized, oh my gosh, I sound like I'm on meth.
It's great.
Anyway, so that memory is kind of triggered, and you're thinking about it, and you remember in the long ago times, in the ancients of histories, you remember a time when there was a group of druids that had there's rumor that there was a group of druids that helped found the city, and it wasn't obviously going to be a city, but it was a place for folk around the realm to come and meet and talk and exchange ideas. And this place, this room, this antechamber or throne room, ostensibly, I think that's kind of the way you're describing it, Cytherea. It's kind of like a throne room type area, was one of those meeting places. And as you're looking around, you're kind of starting to think of like paintings that you've seen before, and I don't know how much you picked bardic or grand histories of the realm. Why, as this type of bard, the character you're playing, why would you go with that? What was something that kind of piqued your interest?
Well, the whole idea of it was that I being in the troupe, we've traveled to many places, and I've seen many different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up many different stories from each place, types of cultures and things of that nature. And I've done research in order to write songs and poetry regarding to each place, which gives me, a little better insight into each and every, territory that we've conquered with our music,
Yeah. I like
so
that.
that seemed to appeal the most to him, because he's always searching for more the next big song, what's going on in this culture that I can steal and create as my own and make it, fantastical.
Yeah. This actually kind of fits pretty well. There's a painting that comes to mind that you saw. It was in a distant town, and in this town there was a noble who hoarded artifacts, art pieces and that sort of thing. And maybe you and I think it was Tredonis, I think was the name of your friend. Maybe you were there to alleviate his. You can't hoard things and feel so paranoid all the time. You got to have those things taken away. And so, you and your friend Tredonis were looking to do that. And I think you came across a painting of a place that looks very similar to this. But instead of having a central raised platform and then the two side chairs, you recall there being a central platform and 3 spaces. And around in those 3 spaces, there were these... They're kind of humanoid, but it seems like they have like branches and trees and stuff kind of growing from their heads and out through their backs and leading up into the upper reaches. And in the way the painting is made, it's kind of like it's ambiguous as to how high up this goes. And in the center of this painting, there is the small form of a little child, a little girl. And for some reason, that painting comes to mind as you're here in this place. Now, Cytherea, have you ever brought them here, or is this the first time that you've...
This is the first time.
Okay. So, Valdyn, how are you kind of receiving this?
Very overwhelmed by the familiarity with nature that they have here. I like it.
Yeah. Now, we talked about outside of character that you felt that, and I think Bob had mentioned it too, is that, there may be an elf at the beginning of this that started this whole thing. Is that something that Valdyn would have had rumor or to know, or is it just something that we were talking about outside of character? I'm curious if you as Valdyn would know that.
It'd be very, very old.
Okay.
Very...
Kind of like a distant
well
myth
known.
that you probably wouldn't have known. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. It's true. It's elves. It's not that old. No, I'm kidding. So now we're coming back into the scene as you're approaching. Havariset is very quiet, and in fact, he's, again, as you guys have been traveling, his demeanor has changed quite a bit. It's almost kind of like, I don't know. It depends on how you guys are looking at or observing him or watching him. So I'll kind of leave it to you if you want to explore that. But yeah, as you guys come in, you kneel before the Lord Magistrate, and or how did you phrase it, Lord?
We'll call him the Lord Protector.
Lord Protector. Okay, I want to make sure I get that into the mythos. Cool. So you kneel before the Lord Protector, and he stands, and I think his frame is, rather large. He's fairly tall, but he carries himself with a certain measure of humbleness, to where it doesn't feel like you didn't have to kneel before him, but you are compelled to because of the honor that you feel for this man. And so he steps down from the place where he's sitting, and that's the slightly raised dais, and he gestures to the two that are alongside him, and they turn and they bow respectfully, and they both separate the opposite direction and leave through these openings that you didn't even see along the side. They just kind of like disappear into there, and even with their bright white garb, they just kind of disappear almost immediately into these little alcoves. And he steps forward and says, "Lady Cytherea, you've brought," trying to come up with a voice for him so it doesn't sound like everybody else. "You have brought for me who? Who are these individuals? Are these the ones that you departed the city with?"
Still kneeling, again with my head bowed. I say they are Lord Protector, Trellion the Bard, Valdyn the Ranger, and the other one you may know was Paladin, blue-legged of Southold.
Yes, I am familiar with him. And he looks at the other two, and then he looks down at you, Cytherea, and he says, "Rise, Lady Knight, rise. It is of great importance that you arrive here. What is it that you wish to speak with me about?"
I was approached by some initiates in town and told them of a possible orc threat that we encountered on the train approximately 3 days from here. There was several altercations, and we did see several bands or tribes of orcs traveling together. They seem more intelligent than a normal orc. And I pledged protection to the blue-legged until we reached Southold.
I see. And you have brought him here safely, I see. And unfortunately, I think that your protection of this individual will need to continue. And he looks towards Valdyn. As you may know. And he looks over at Trellion, and he says, What is it that keeps you with these others?"
Well, Cytherea, just like a sister. Valdyn, like a brother. And the Legate, like a pain in my ass.
He chuckles at that. He's like, "I'm afraid I am not the man to tell you that you will no longer have this discomfort. But I can advise you that shifting in the saddle regularly can help."
Great.
"Come, let us drink. We have much to discuss." He gestures over to the side where one of the what did you term them as, Cytherea?
We can call them Nessie.
Nessie. So he gestures to where one of them had departed. He says, "Follow me, and we will take our leave of the formalities of this beauty and retire into a place that is more accustomed to such weighty discussion." And so he leads you through a hallway that again has that kind of mixture of nature and stone and just seems to kind of ebb and flow and change a little bit out of the corner of your eye as you make your way through. And you arrive in a small, like, kind of receiving room. It has a table that's there that could probably seat anywhere from 8 to 10, depending upon if you wanted to squeeze in there. And there's chairs available. And one of I guess the Nessie is there with a couple of servants, pages who are there to, or I'm sorry, initiates who are there to kind of like set up some drinks and some food. And he gestures for all of you to have a seat, even Haveriset, and he does so as well. And the legate actually goes and he sits at the side of the table. He doesn't sit at the head of the table. He actually sits along with the rest of you. And so, tell me about these orcs. What is it that... he looks over at Valdyn and he says, "What is it that you noticed about them that were different?"
Oh, it's been so long. I can't remember what I recognized that was different about them. Let's see here. How well
You can make something up if you want.
What was it? They seemed more organized, I think was what we established.
Yeah. Bigger.
Bigger, stronger, and more organized, I think is what it was.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you noticed was that they were speaking a very old form of Orcish, and it was the reason why you actually understood some of it. And I think Trellion specifically kind of noticed that. Maybe, I don't know if you want to throw in something like that, you can, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's...
Uh-oh.
The internet's.
That's why
Back now.
I say bigger, stronger, uglier.
Yeah.
Yes.
More organized.
Organized.
Yes. Not your typical orc. Something seemed off.
Well,
And they took one of the gnome's trains. Not an easy feat for a dragon, let alone orcs.
yes.
Requires coordination.
Yes, it does. So, I wonder what information that our legate here can shed upon the situation. And Haveriset, he's been like really quiet, and he's kind of looking down at the table, thinking like really heavily. And I think the Lord Protector gives him a moment to talk, kind of like sits back and waits, and actually like takes a drink of the ale that's in front of him, or whatever drink it may be. And Haveriset is he's looking distinctly troubled at this time, and says that there's a bit of difficulty, it seems. I think perhaps the encounter on the road may have gone a little bit more differently had Trellion not kept me to the side and out of the view of the other orcs that were on walkback. I recognized them.
Spit it out, man.
There's something different that is occurring in this realm. And I think it has begun with the legates are becoming a little more aggressive of late. They are... It's a matter of perspective. Things that maybe the regular populace wouldn't notice, but I have noticed because I have perspective. I leave the city and I come back to it and I see it changing over those courses of weeks and days and months. But they are solidifying their power here. And they're preparing to make a move elsewhere, and it rose my curiosity. But it wasn't until I came across your brother. And he looks to you, Cytherea, that I didn't understand the depth of what was happening here. I recognized you as soon as I saw you on the train. As soon as you leapt down from the roof of the carriage, I knew that you were his sister. There's no mistaking it. The eyes, the bearing. But these changes that are going on here in the city and throughout the realm have brought with it other parties, other people who are interested in what's happening, other people who are looking to take advantage of the confusion. I think perhaps the other legates have found out about my machinations. And he looks back over at Valdyn, and it seems that they are out for my skin as well. When I was on the train, I was on my way to make a deal with those orcs that you'd seen, with the 7-fold axe blades. They come from a place far from here, where the orcs have thrived since their own historical foundings. They're different, like you said, they're bigger, they're more organized, and it's because they've maintained their societies since their time began. They're not your typical raiders, but they are seeking to set about, or to restart a history that stopped for them long ago. And I thought perhaps I could leverage their ambition to find out more about what was happening. And so he kind of sits back and he says, "The brother is alive." And correct me if I'm wrong, his name is Magnus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Magnus is alive. And he is with the 7-fold axe blades. He works with them. He's been with them for quite some time. To have him say it, they had broken him out of the chains of slavery of another tribe of orc. And the ones that they feel are feral and not really any longer their kin. I'm not saying anything that these other orcs, these older orcs, are much better, but at least they can be reasoned with. They be talked to, and I suppose in the lines of what you and your lord here truck with, they are honorable after a fashion. But I do know that these have enemies. There's other tribes that have had problems, and it is this other tribe that unfortunately laid waste to your village. He looks to Valdyn. They are They are not necessarily enemies of the Sevenfolds, but they are competitors, as it were. And he looks over at Trellion and he says, as much as I do not like you, I did have a promise to see to it that your indiscretions and dealings were covered over, and I think I still have contacts that can handle this Bartleby of yours. I'll see what I can do about that, but you must understand, I think I may need more of your protection now more than ever. And so he sits back and he he kind of looks between the group of you and just to kind of like get a gauge of what you guys are thinking.
I look from him to the Lord Protector and stand up and offer my protection to Haverset until we reach the orcs where my brothers, no matter how far it is to where he is, we can get to him.
I see how important it is to Cytherea, and I very reluctantly agree.
If I have to.
Yeah.
Now, are they to the north?
Yeah, that's a great question.
They're west of here, and they were making their way.
You.
They're making their way northward. Yes, and he's like looking at Trellion, like, I hate to disappoint you. Let me get to it. They are heading northeast, but I think it is in an effort to rejoin those who are coming from the north, the rest of their clan.
And after I hear that, I look at everybody and say, since we've got back to Southold, I've been seeing strange things and experiencing strange things. And when I went to where the body of who was it again? The Red Sister.
Oh, the Red Sister. Yep.
I did get to commune with her in whatever afterlife that she believed in.
Right.
And she told me that her deity, her benefactor, said that in the north the queen was dead. If that means anything to anybody.
And Verazet leans back heavily. This makes more sense now. Of course. It is legates, or if anything, they are an extension of the Queen's will. If the Queen is dead, then the legates, of course, are going to try and solidify power. Especially on the council. They're not going to want to relinquish anything. These orcs, if they are taking the time now to come down from the north, then they must know too. They must know that she's dead. If this... He leans back, and I've seen many strange things. That's for sure. I've seen many strange things in my travels. Unfortunately, I have seen some of the shamans in the east. They have the abilities to speak to the dead. Even the wild clerics in the desert, they do so as well. And you say that you did this thing, Lady Knight. It makes sense. It makes sense. So he, I mean, how are you guys kind of dealing with this? I mean, is there any questions that you guys have, or as you're looking at this?
I would ask Haverset, so my brother's not a prisoner of these orcs? He's actually working with them.
Yes. Yes, he is. He's quite developed. Your brother. He's going a different direction than you. He's more along the lines of the arcane. He's not involved with the wizards here in the city, but he's learned his magics elsewhere. That I am sure, but I am not sure where he learned it. But there's something different about him. I hesitate to tell you how I met him originally. And I want you to understand that he's different from them. He's not... He was one of my protectors. And he killed his partner before he left me on the road. He has taken the oaths. He has been to the mountain north of Sapphire Harbor.
So my brother was on the train when we were fighting orcs.
No, he left long ago. I was on the train to go and make the final parley with the sevenfold axe blades. The rest of my colleagues in the legates did not know that I had departed. I thought I had gone on some indiscretion within the city. I have laid about the behavior in the past. My tastes run in that direction, and that is what I do. But I use that as cover as such refused to escape the city and head out on train. But he departed my company at least a year ago. And he had done so when we were in the west. We had visited a village named Ravenfell, and something he found there changed him. Normally the ghost eyes, they do not speak more than 2 or 3 words, warning to not tread here, or to stay behind me there, or allow us to investigate this room first. It is their sworn duty to protect us. But he saw something that changed him, awoke him. And whatever changes happened up on Southold Mountain, they receded. Now he covers over his eye, leaving only his natural one. And he is the one who reached out to me with the potential to meet with these sevenfold axe blades. How he met them, I know not.
And I sat back thinking. I turned to the Lord Protector and say, there was several commotions in the street not far from here this evening. The Black Badges were called to more likely investigate. It's dangerous for Habiset to even walk in the open anymore now that we know this. Is there any way we can send a raven to somebody that will basically spill the beans that Habiset is dead? We can fake his death and leave the city under cover of night and head north to where I feel that there's going to be a gathering of forces.
Is this something that we can do? I think that it would be in our interest to keep him alive, as for certain. At least to try and find a little bit more information as to the hows and the whys of, and maybe even the truth of what you've seen. It is not that I doubt your vision, but the Queen being dead, she is the Queen Eternal. The thrice blessed Queen that was given immortality. I have much to think on in this, but yes, this is a good as plan as any to somehow spread the word that he is dead. We'll do this. And I think Trellion, you how are you handling this? What are you doing as you're kind of listening to this?
I'm starting to think about songs I could spread about his passing.
Nice.
The tales I will tell along the way.
Right.
And trying to keep consistent with the means of death, as opposed to coming up with thousands of different ways that float through my head every minute.
Nice. I think as you're kind of like thinking about that, maybe you're like, there's like scatters of paper and odds and ends on the table. So maybe you're like kind of writing it down. You're starting
jotting it down, yeah.
And I think that one of the papers starts to kind of like move a little bit. And I think everybody's kind of like focused on the conversation amongst, Haversat. And you look over and you see Angeles as she's pointing at one of the papers, and I don't know, what do? You look over at it.
I look at the paper,
and she's pointing at it, and it's a map of the city of Southold, and she's pointing emphatically at a location to the north, in the north side of the city, a place called Edgetown, which is kind of like where the poor and the downtrodden go. It's the there's a small little location that she's pointing at, and she says, "Tick tock, my love. I need you to go here, and I need you to find me."
I'll be there.
And she smiles and like kind of rubs her hand along your face, and she says, "Don't forget to bring your friends." And she turns and she goes and she sits down in one of the chairs and just kind of waits patiently as she's kind of toying with her hair and watching. Just kind of watching. And I think maybe like our camera kind of like focuses down on like where she's pointing, and it's it looks like it's kind of like it's an older map. It's not really like a more recent map. And the area she's pointing at is Edgetown, but the way this has been drawn, it's kind of before things kind of got bad there. And there's like little shops and locations of places here and there that are kind of notated along the side. And one place there is noted as the Priory of Antonius. And I think with your bardic lore, you recognize that as something that's connected to the Temple of Bennett Notch. Priories have been kind of scattered throughout the realm as ways to keep secrets or to hide certain things that have occurred in that location, and become pilgrimage stops along the way. But I don't know, have you ever been in Edgetown nowadays? Like, do you ever go down into those kind of slummy areas or whatever?
Oh, the slummy areas, yeah, of course. But I don't believe I've been to Edgetown yet.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so like the north of Southold is that kind of place. It's the slums. It's the the place where some of the dock workers will go to live. There's a couple of clans of halflings that are up there that are kind of like at war with one another. Like they're kind of like have like little turf wars and like and not to be, you know, no pun intended, but yeah, little turf wars. And so yeah, the location that you're there that's on this map doesn't kind of sync up with what's there. But yeah, that's
very interesting.
Yeah. So any other questions for Veriset or
Still coming to terms with facts and dealing with him for an elongated period of time.
Nice.
One of the Nessie come in with it's like a wrap package, and they set it down in front of Habiset. Since he's still dressed, I would guess as a blue-legged, something to identify him. These clothes are more of a disguise.
Nice.
There's like a leather helmet that comes down, and it's actually got kind of like the Romans.
Oh,
the things that
yeah.
came down.
Cool.
It's got those where he can snap it like around his mouth, so
nice.
he won't be recognized.
Yeah, sure. And you know what? In town, it's not strange to see armsmen here and there. People who are coming into town to find work as mercenaries, that sort of stuff. Because to hell's bells, the Black Legates are going to be doing that. You know, so you come in, get hired, and then you get out of town and go do your job. So that totally works. That's cool. Okay. And he stands up and he kind of he pulls over a satchel and he sets it down on the table and he reaches in and he pulls out a journal that he has and he flips it open to a page and he looks over at Valdyn and he says, Valdyn, how would he address you? I'm trying to think like how he would address you, I guess. Master Oaf, as promised, this is all I know about the orcs that destroyed your village. Perhaps if we end up speaking with the sevenfold axe blades, they may be able to tell you more. And he lays it down on the table, and it's kind of like a drawing of an orc, you know, as what you're seeing there, and it's called the Black Heart Clan, the Blackened Heart Clan. These are the ones that destroyed your village. They are. He like kind of flips through his page through the pages of his journal and opens it up and lets you read. And you know, we can kind of talk between episodes about a little bit more about who these guys might be. But maybe just something to kind of like begin the conversation is that they are. It's almost kind of like they don't want anything but work. You know, like that's. The thing that has been done to them in ancient history needs to be done to the world. You know, somebody sought to wipe them out and push them aside. Now they're going to do the same. Mm-hmm. So something to kind of build off of, and we can see where we go from there. But yeah, so I think with that we watched the table kind of like, you know, as, you know, the clothing is brought in and Veriset kind of like, you know, he grabs what's given to him and the Nessie kind of like points them in a direction to go and get changed. And we, you know, there's some food that's brought so that you guys can relax and eat for a little bit. And the camera kind of goes over to the table and points down towards the map and goes to that little section of Edgetown. And we go kind of into the map and kind of into the reality of Southold, and we drift along the wind towards this place, and we hear, you know, like kind of that atonal music and stuff that goes on with people who are trying to play, you know, accordions or fiddles or whatever and stuff, and then we have the sound of like arguments and, you know, the things that happen with folks who are in dire straits. And we eventually come across a place where it's almost kind of like a blacked out area of Edgetown. Like there's little torches and lanterns and stuff that are kind of lit, but there's this one little small hill that kind of raises up, and there's this stone bulk that's on top of it, like a temple of some kind. And it's here that we kind of like watch, and the camera settles on it, And as we do, we see our eyes kind of adjust to the darkness, and we see like the casements that are kind of broken and shattered along the open windows of this ostensibly a temple of some form. And we see like this kind of shadow that's kind of flitting to and fro amongst the windows, and I think that's kind of where we end it. We'll come to a close for the episode. So great work, you guys. I kind of felt like I had kind of like the bumpy start here, but I think we kind of got a little bit more information about what's going on here, and I think we'll hopefully be able to get together a lot sooner to play our next game. But as always, thanks so much, Bob, Erik, Mike. I mean, just all the things that you guys do. Like, Erik's been like going bonkers with the creativity here. Cytherea, I mean, Bob has his garb that he's got together, but the big headband there, huge tracts of land, and like he's got the headband there, man. That's Erik's work, man. That's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
And then the music, and the one thing that you guys got to understand is, like, between sessions we've been kind of messaging back and forth and kind of growing this world. And I think what we're doing is we're actually kind of developing this beyond just the single season arc we made. We're going to kind of bring this into multiple seasons so that we can kind of grow the world even more. So hopefully you'll see a lot more history kind of coming out of this as we talk in between sessions and everything. So it's been a lot of fun seeing the creativity that these guys bring to the table. It's amazing. It makes my job a whole lot easier. So huge thanks, Erik, Mike, Bob, much appreciated. Chris Lawrence for putting this community together within the Invictus community, and it's open to everybody. You want to lay out a game, hop on to the
Reddit.
The Reddit thread that's connected within. Thank you. I can't remember Reddit all the time. Hop onto the Reddit thread that's connected through the Invictus community group or the Invictus group that's in Facebook, and get connected. You don't necessarily have to record it. I mean, just get into a game and have fun. Role play it up. Huge thanks to Harlan and the boys. Justin and Alex and Chris and Michael and all. It's just the amazing job that they do putting together stories every single week for us. It just really inspires us to do things like this. So I think last time with Valdyn, we hit Mike the time before that. So Bob,
see you around the table.
There you go. Thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you next time.
Used to be, hold the earth above me, lay down on the green grass, remember when you loved me, come closer, don't be shy, stand beneath a rainy sky.